Hi, my name is Steve, and I had rotator cuff surgery, and I had my biceps tendon reattached. I had the surgery just about a month ago, and I had watched pretty much every YouTube video that was available on the web about rotator cuff surgery, and thought I was very prepared. There's a few things that I found out along the way that should hopefully be beneficial to you that I did not anticipate or did not know. There was a few videos out there that were very informative, and I'll touch on that as we go through the video. Again, just a little bit of background. I tore my rotator cuff. It was a full thickness tear, and I did it about 3 years ago. But I waited as long as I could. I found every excuse in the book to avoid having surgery, but got to the point where the surgeon, Dr. Harris, let me know that if I did not have the surgery soon, I would be in great jeopardy of losing the ability to use my shoulder to its full ability. So I had the surgery, right, as I said, right about a month ago. And here's a few things. You have a nerve block put in typically before the surgery, and they tell you that that would wear off about, depending on your metabolism, about 24 hours afterwards. So my surgery was in the morning. They anticipated that my nerve block would wear off around 12 o'clock. Being that I waited 3 years to have surgery, there was a great amount of anticipation of anxieties of how bad the pain was going to be. I was going to every YouTube video to find out, judge people's pains and look into their eyes as they did a video 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week after having the surgery, just to see how much pain they were really in. There is pain, there's no doubt about that, but being the idiot that I am, when I had the nerve block in and you come home after the surgery, a logical person would just use that to their advantage, get some sleep and catch up on things. I did not sleep the night before surgery. I paced around the house the whole time. The anesthesia was beautiful because I actually got my hour and a half of sleep. Then when I got home after having the operation and the nerve block was in place, instead of going to sleep, I stayed awake because they tell you that as soon as you start to feel your fingers, you're about a half hour away from getting the pain in your shoulder. You better start on your pain medicine. So the whole day I was trying to keep myself awake because I figured that I have much faster metabolism than most, which was false, and that probably the nerve block would wear off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I stayed awake and again did not sleep at all. Around 2:30 in the morning, the pain came. I took my 2 Norco pain medicines and didn't seem to do too much actually, and I'm not a guy that takes medicine at all, so it was kind of shocking. So I certainly got to know what the pain was about, and I knew that for the first 3 days the pain was going to be intense, and I just looked at it as being a Super Bowl of sorts, and if I can make it through the first 3 days, everything would be fine. I took my pain pills every 6 hours, and this is my first tip that I'll give you, is have an alarm, have your phone next to your bed, and they tell you that if you take 1 pain pill, depending on what you have, if you take 1 pain pill, you can take one every 4 hours. If you take 2 pain pills, you can do it every 6 hours. Don't rely on your mental capacities to remember when you took a medicine. Have an alarm next to your bed, and when you take the pain medicine, hit the start button for the alarm, or for the stopwatch essentially. So that way you know when it's actually 6 hours from that point, and then you can take your other ones. I got completely confused on that a few times, and I missed the boat. And one thing they say is stay ahead of the pain. So you need to take your pain medicine on time when you're supposed to. The second night was the worst pain, no doubt about it, but I chalk it up for myself as being just unbelievably tired and frustrated and miserable, and I think that was a big reason for it. I used the ice machine that I bought from the doctor's office nonstop for the first 2 days, and I think that's a really good thing. That certainly does help. But as the third day came around, I was noticing that my joint was incredibly stiff at that point. So I stopped using the ice machine, and I actually felt better by not having, I haven't used ice, period, since the second day. Again, what works for you works for you. I'm just letting you know what worked for me. So with my surgeon, the day after surgery, you start your first day of rehab. So for that, you need to obviously have clothes when you go to rehab. So what my wife did for me was I just basically had a tank top that she modified. We just went and bought whatever was on sale. I guess it's Mickey Mouse, I didn't even know what it was. So she just put some Velcro on it, and that was an easy way for me to get to therapy the first day. From there on out, I found that the best way to do things was to go with these. It doesn't matter what brand you use, but I really like these Under Armour shirts, because the biggest thing is you need to learn how to put a shirt on, and everything about this shirt stretches, even the neckline. So when you're doing it for the first time, where you put the shirt up on your arm and you pull it up over you, these shirts really stretch. So I went to the Under Armour outlet, I probably bought 6 or 7 of them, and here's a big, huge tip for you. You're going to start going out in public soon. And if you are like me, I like wearing black t-shirts and gray t-shirts. They're my favorite. The challenge is the black matches the black, so no one can actually see that you have a brace on. So if you're wondering why I'm not a colorful guy, trust me. All the t-shirts I bought at the Under Armour outlet are all these very, very colorful ones. I have a colorful red one, an orange one. You know, my wife was sort of looking at me and I said, trust me, there's a reason why. I had gone to a party for one of my friends. We were all in from out of town, and I wore a black t-shirt and I had my black vest on. Everybody, we're all taking pictures. Everybody keeps putting their arm around me and just smacking me in the shoulder. Not their fault. They just did not remember that I had a sling on. So very colorful, loose-fitting clothing, stretchy necks so you can get them up over you. Really, really beneficial. So that's a great thing to do. Okay, sleeping arrangements. Everybody talks about getting an adjustable chair, like a lazy boy, something of that nature. I have a problem with that, because in our living room is where I would be sleeping, and we have 3 dogs which sleep on the other side of the house, and they tend to be loud. I wanted to sleep in our bedroom like I had always done. So considering that, it had been about 10 years or so since we had purchased a new mattress. So I went and checked into buying an adjustable bed, which worked out very well. So now my wife and I can both adjust our bed to how we want it. And obviously I've stripped out the sheets to show you that. So if I want to raise my head up, or if I want to raise my feet up, I've got infinite adjustability, and this really works well. The other part of sleeping in an adjustable bed or a chair, people talk about needing to have a pillow underneath your shoulder and your elbow. And yes, you do. And here's a really neat thing. This is a sample mattress piece that I got at the store that I bought the bed from. And you won't be able to see it on camera, but it's actually got little rubber things on the bottom here, so it really grips like heck and it doesn't move. So when I put this here, when I lay down, I get my shoulder into it, I get my elbow into it, and then I'm in a perfect sleeping position, and I'm good to go for the night. I have a pillow which is radius like this. It's got a cooling pillow, and what I use this for is I actually put this right about here, so that if I want to just lean my head down, you're in a strange position first off. So every once in a while I just want to let my head go to the side, and I just use that to sort of prop it up a little bit. Not the greatest of things, but this is part of what we're dealing with this operation. So I've been sleeping in the bed. It's been a month now, and you learn to adjust. The only challenge that's kind of funny is once you finally get in that perfect sleeping position, you basically don't want to move, but of course that's the time you need to go to the bathroom, so you have to wake up your spouse and get off to it. And speaking of which, here's one of the other things. It doesn't, again, I'm not pushing brands, I don't know one from the next, but they're going to have you take stool softener. Beyond taking stool softener, you're going to want to take something that helps you to go. And I promise you, it was 2.5 days until I finally went number 2, and it was only because I took these, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just wanted to scream out like I won the Super Bowl. It was a pretty great feeling. So waking your spouse up at 4 o'clock in the morning to let them know that you went to the bathroom is it's a small victory, but it's kind of funny. So that's another one. Getting on to bathing and things of that nature. Another thing I didn't find any information on, you're going to want to buy a soap that's got a pump dispenser, because you can't really turn a bar of soap around in your hands, and if it's one of those bottom ones, that's kind of iffy as well. So if you can just have one that you can either put on the little shelf in the bathroom, or you can put it on the ground and you can just, you know, pump it into your hands and use your soap, that's great. Don't ask me about washing hair. Obviously, you could just insert your soap there. So the other part of it is, this underarm is gonna get gamey. You've got this sling on, you're pressed against your body like this, it's gonna build up some heat in there. And for the first few days, you're not gonna be able to get your arm out far enough to really clean it good enough and get it taken care of as you want to. So what I found is they make a spray, and again, I don't care about brands and everything else, but they make spray baby powders now, which is kind of cool. Just don't get too close when you spray this. And the nice thing is I can spray this way, and I can also spray it this way. So I can myself take care of both armpits. We need to talk about it, it's important. And then obviously you can use spray deodorant. Makes a big difference though, because man, it gets gamey in there, and there's no doubt about that. So that's that. I told you I used the ice machine for the first 2 days, and then I didn't use it after that. When you're doing PT at home, or even doing PT at your therapist's place, my therapist has, which is awesome, this nice long thin gel pack. It's not even ice, and it's really light, and it's nice because it just drapes over the shoulder, and especially for me, it's right here where I have all my pain, and just having that sit on there for 10 minutes feels awesome. I went out and bought this particular one, which I thought was going to be great because it actually, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it goes all the way around the shoulder and it goes down the arm, and it's got straps and everything else. The only challenge with it, it's really heavy. So when you put that on your shoulder, it absolutely kills your shoulder. So that absolutely was not a solution. This is going back, by the way. So I'm done with that. The ones that I'm talking about from my therapist, he said they're available on Amazon. Again, wherever you can find them is great. One of the other bits of advice I can give you is buy a second sling. This is actually not the sling that they sent me home with. This is a secondary one. I had first purchased this sling, which I thought was awesome because it's ventilated, it was a lot cooler, but if you notice something, it doesn't have the waist strap. Until you find out the hard way that when you don't have a waist strap on and something falls and you reach out like that, yeah, it's gonna hurt. So get a secondary sling. You can get them off the internet. Make sure it has a waist strap. Do not run down to CVS, Walgreens, whatever, and just buy a regular sling. That's going back as well. Drying yourself off out of the shower, and I know I'm sort of jumping around here. In the surgically affected area, do not use a hair dryer, but for every other part, especially your underarms, try to get some air in there to, again, clean it out. I know I'm harping on the armpits thing, but no one else bothered to talk about it, so I thought I would. Shoes. So you're going to want to invest some money. I personally, this Olakai brand is awesome because, and these are trashed now. Can you see those? These are pretty much trash now, but what's nice about them is they're made so that the back of them, you can just slip in here and you're done. And what I like about these is you can wear these with khakis, jeans, whatever, if you're going to work, and it's not an issue. You can pull up the back of them if you need to. So that's just, again, another oh, by the way, that really works well.